Hi everyone, I'm Roxanne, Carne, personal wardrobe stylist for women, and I transform women's wardrobes and transform their lives. And as a personal stylist, I spend 95% of my time searching for the perfect items for my clients that will really give them a new lease on life when it comes to their image and helping them build their own personal style. And I should say, namely, their signature style. But there's a lot that comes with being a personal stylist. So not too long ago, I released a video here on my YouTube channel talking about the kind of behind the scenes of what life is really like as a personal stylist. And I thought this video that I'm doing today would be like a little bit of an offshoot to accent that. So in today's video, I'm gonna talk to you about some of my just random pet peeves that I have when it comes to just navigating the space of fashion and style. I'd like to think, and I actually know that I'm pretty much a very patient person. However, there are little things that when they occur again and again and again, just drive me nuts. And I'm a type A personality and I just love things to be done right the first time. So anyway, I thought it would be fun to share some of these little pet peeves of mine within this space with you. Okay, so let's see. The first one that I want to talk about is the logistics. So, wow, curating for clients is a complete game of timing. You know, I basically think about when is our fitting appointment, and then I reverse engineer my entire process based on that. And that has to take into account, A, the time that it takes me to curate and find these pieces from all over the world, B, the time it takes to kind of pre-style things, and then also get them to me, the logistics of it all. So I would say, wow, 9 out of 10 times, I'll receive a package that I need on time. But that one time out of 10, it happens with almost every client I have. There's always a piece that's a straggler. There's always a piece that's late. So that's a real pet peeve of mine when I first of all, order things in well enough time in advance to make sure that it gets here timely. Or B, sometimes if I have a client that's in a crunch and we need to do expedited shipping, I would pay extra for it and it still does not get here. Now, I know there are a lot of forces behind why that happens. Labor shortages around the world, supply chain issues, but even still, when you're placing orders 3 weeks in advance, you would think that you would pretty much get it on time, unless it's something that's custom or made to order. So that's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine with packages arriving late or sometimes not at all. There are times where the tracking just drops off and it's like disappeared into thin air, like it got evaporated into space or something. And I've had to call the vendor and be like, where is the package? I have not received it. And have gotten full refunds just on packages that have gone AWOL. So there are those instances, ladies, where I place orders and sometimes I never receive it. So that's the logistical part. I'm gonna take you to number 2, which is also tied to logistics. Okay, so this next pet peeve of mine, as I just mentioned, is closely tied to logistics. And when you think about it, when you're ordering clothes or goods, products that are coming from all over the world, they go through quite a lot to get to you a lot of the time, right? They're coming from overseas, they're on shipping containers, they're on planes, they're, going down the assembly line, basically, right? A lot of steps before they actually arrive at your door. Now, most packages arrive hopefully in normal condition, but not all of them do. So I'm gonna share with you a package that I literally just got 3 days ago. Here it is. So this was a beautiful boot that I'd gotten, and it was a collaboration, as you can see, between Jimmy Choo and Mugler. And this was ordered from Net-a-Porter. And I absolutely love Net-a-Porter. They have fantastic customer service. They typically send their pieces out in beautiful branded boxes, which this actually came in. So this came in your standard, deep, rich black Net-a-Porter box with the magnetic clasp. Just beautiful presentation. It was beautiful until I unwrapped it and I saw this. So look at the condition of this box. Now keep in mind, this was inside a Net-a-Porter branded box, and that branded box was inside a big cardboard box for shipping, right? So this was inside the box in this condition. So I don't know what this box went through before it got packed up, but I could not believe that Net-a-Porter actually sent this out. I mean, okay, look, there's a whole gash right here, and they covered it with tape. There's another indentation and scratches and everything here, also covered up with tape. The corners of the box all have tape on them. There's scuff marks everywhere. I mean, this is a white box, but there are gray and black scuff marks everywhere. This flap right here, completely detached. And again, you can see where the tape, where the tape was put on. And what got me, guys, is that they actually had the balls to put a ribbon around this box. And I was just like, what is this? Did they really try to make me feel better by putting this black ribbon around it to get to these gorgeous shoes? Now the shoes themselves were in perfect condition, right? But again, I don't know what on earth happened to this box, but they actually put a whole ribbon around it. So these are the crazy types of things that I see as a stylist, because I literally have packages coming to our studio day in and day out. And sometimes we get, we get situations like this, not the most pleasant, but I will say in all my years at shopping at Net-a-Porter, not only for my business, but also for myself, this is the very first time that this has happened. So I think this is just an anomaly, and I will be taking pictures and emailing it to them, because I think they should know that someone made the decision to send this out. I understand that they probably wanted to keep everything branded with the shoe, but I would rather them have put it just in the shoes in their beautiful branded boxing just for Net-a-Porter and just send me that on its own, because I feel somewhat insulted by this. So here's one example. And then another story, little mini story I want to share with you. This happened a few weeks ago. We had a client fitting, and there was only one item missing. And, in a lot of times, there's something that's late or delayed, but there's some times where we get 100% of everything. So this time only one piece was missing. So we were doing kind of tracking, and it showed that it got delivered here to my studio. So it's like, okay, where is it? So we found a package, a plastic bag basically, from the USPS, and it says "We Care" on it, okay? So this clear plastic bag had, I don't know if you could see, but it had this other plastic bag, and we folded it up because I had to reach out to Nordstrom about this. So I had gotten a piece from Nordstrom, and it came in this package right here. But again, when we got this was folded up, and it was jammed inside this little rectangular clear bag. So after kind of looking at it, we realized that this thing, this bag went through some things. It looks like it literally got stretched. So we realized that it probably went through some type of sorting machinery, and it got mangled up, right? That happens. Has it happened to me before? No, but there's a first time for everything, right? So anyway, there was no item in the bag. So the post office, doing their duty to make sure that the package is delivered in whatever condition it's gonna get to you in, they put this empty bag inside of this little clear white bag. And they've got like "We care," and there's a little letter here saying, "Dear postal customer, we sincerely regret the damage to your mail during handling by the postal service, blah, 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 blah." A whole explanation apologizing, which, you know what? At least they did that, right? I have to give them credit for that. But they laughed at the very first sentence, "the damage done to your mail." This was more than damage. It was damage, and like the contents of the mail are missing. So I reached out to Nordstrom. Of course, Nordstrom is fantastic, and they sent out a replacement right away, and it came in a few days. So it was fine. It wasn't a big deal. But this is like what we deal with every day. Like there's always some random package issue through the logistics of it getting here, the condition that it gets here, and so on. So yeah, that's a major pet peeve of mine. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so my next pet peeve is about brands, certain brands that don't have size charts available for their clothing, or they have like half-assed ones. And I'll explain exactly what I mean. So as a personal stylist, you know, I'm working with different women's bodies. All of us have different heights, different girth, different shapes, different measurements. And most brands are really, really good at having a detailed size chart that gives a general guideline for what the size is and the actual physical measurements, right? From your height to the bust to the natural waist, hips, inseam, all of that. So it is super frustrating to me when I occasionally come across a brand, and of course I can't think of an example right now of a brand that doesn't have it, but there's some brands that there's no size chart available. It's not on their website. It's not on the retailer website, perhaps for where they're being sold. It's just a complete guessing game. And they'll either just have numbers like 0, 2, 4, 6, and so on, or they'll have sizes, extra small, small, medium, large, extra large, and so on. And the challenge is that, you know, with vanity sizing, brands have different, you know, allocations for what they consider small versus medium. So a small in one brand could be a medium in one brand, or it could be extra small in another brand. So it's a real guessing game. So that is a real pet peeve of mine. Now I mentioned sometimes they have like a half-assed approach, and I see this a lot more so with like European brands when they're converting to American sizing. They'll have like a little chart that will say like small, and it will be like 0 to 2. And then medium, 4 to 6, large, so on and so forth. And again, it's like, okay, well, most people kind of know that, but what are the measurements? What does a small for you mean in terms of the actual size of the garment? So that is a pet peeve that I come across every once in a while. So the next one I want to share with you is not having a lot of diversity in sizing. And you know what? This is nothing new. Ever since fashion has become an industry that's available to the masses, right? In terms of ready to wear for decades and decades now, there really just hasn't been a whole lot of diversity in sizing. Now I will say the needle is slightly moving because there have been more conversations about it. I think through social media, we've had a lot of awareness and a real spotlight put on it, but there's still so much work to do. So what the types of things that I see is that basically, if you're not a regular size, and a regular size means maybe I would say from a 0 to maybe about a 14 or so. If you're not in that size range, if you're not tall, if you're not petite, or if you're not plus size, if you're in that magic area, then you will have a lot of choices available for you, okay? But if you are anything outside of regular, meaning that you are petite in height, you're tall in height, you're plus size, and then also if you're in that area of being maybe a size 16 to 18, those are the most challenging to shop for. And I know that you know this, right? Because you experienced this. Those can be the most challenging to shop for because you have brands there are some high-end brands that have a few selection choices available. Then you see a lot of like cheap brands that play in that space, and the clothes are just disgusting and you're like, no, right? But we're the brands that are affordable but yet offer really, really great quality. There's not a lot to choose from. There really, really isn't. And it just frustrates me. And I mean, this is part of my world. My role is to dig to find the pieces. And I eventually do, but it is really, really challenging because I want to be able to just go in to a store, perhaps a brick and mortar, and be like, oh, I want to get this for this petite client. I want to get this for this plus size client. And the selection isn't there, or it's not even online. So that's that other pet peeve that I wanted to share with you that's been going on for a long time. And I think it will still be prevalent in the shopping realm. But the good news is that, again, year to year, things are getting a little bit better. But I just want to see everyday brands, good quality brands, have more options for people that are outside that regular realm in terms of sizing. Okay, here's another one. This with tied to brands is we do a lot of work with accounting for our business, receipts and everything, because clients furnish a budget and I've got to see where we are against that budget. But we're also doing things like developing lookbooks and so on, and we rely very heavily on digital images. So it's a little pet peeve of mine when I have a shopping receipt from a vendor, from a retailer, from a brand that just has like words on the page and the amount. It doesn't actually have a picture of the item. Again, everything that we do is very kind of visual intensive. And when we are sometimes looking for a particular piece, and these brands also have like these completely fancy schmancy random names for like a pair of pants, and the colors that they call these things are like not normal colors. So when you're looking at it in the list, you're like, what is that? We often have to refer to an image. So a lot of times my assistant Rosa will have to go to the main website and basically search for the piece by keyword to bring up that visual to say, oh, it's this piece. So that's a little pet peeve of mine. And I'll close by sharing one last pet peeve. And this really doesn't actually have anything to do with a brand or retailers or shopping, but it has to do with women and how we think of ourselves. My last pet peeve is centered on women assigning their value to a specific dollar sign. And if you've followed me for a while, I've kind of come up with this theory of women really negotiating their self-worth. And it's a real problem. And I think when a lot of women are coming to work with me for the first time, they're in that mindset, or have been before. So it's something that is prevalent. It is widespread. It is something you can get over, but I just don't like to see women devalue who they are and think that, and carry shame and think that they're not worth X number of dollars. They're not worth this, they're not worth that. And that's going to vary. That amount's going to vary from person to person. I get that. But it just breaks my heart, because there's so much that you can do and achieve when you have an image that is completely uplifting who you are and showing the world who you are. You don't think about what you're wearing anymore. You're able to be present. You're able to be there and give to the ones that you love the most. And in that vein, I actually have a YouTube video that I recorded live where I do really a deep dive into what that means. And I also have a blog post that goes into it in pretty great detail as well. So I'll link below to the video as well as the blog post, but I would have to say that's my biggest pet peeve. So rounding out that list, pretty much everything that I shared with you today that are my pet peeves, these truly are the reasons why women choose to work with me, because I get to eliminate all of these headaches with the logistics, with trying to find the right sizing, with, am I going to get my package or not, right? I really take all of that headache away and deliver to my clients a very, very curated, focused wardrobe for them that really just aligns with who they are today. So I'm very blessed to be able to do that. So even though it's pet peeves, it's totally worth it in the end to see my clients glow and bask in just how fabulous they are. So that wraps up my pet peeves video for you today. Let me know, have you experienced some of those pet peeves? Like, what are the pet peeves that you experience when you're shopping? I'd love to know that. Make sure to comment below and also like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell as well so that you'll always be in the know when I drop a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.